This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. Between two-factor authentication, strong passwords, and a VPN, you try to be in control of how your info is protected. But many other places also have it, and they might not be as careful. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats. If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit lifelock.com/podcast for 40% off. Terms apply.
Imagine this. The best pasta sauce you have ever tasted sits abandoned on a plate. Wasted sauce. That is a tragedy. If only you had used Barilla al Bronzo pasta. Its bronze-cut texture holds your sauce and scoops up every last drop. The Italians call that scarpetta. Capture sauce the Italian way. Barilla al Bronzo. Click or tap the banner to find out more.
Hello, my name is Damon Friedman, co-founder and president of SOF Missions. As a 20-year veteran within Special Operations, I've gone through many challenges due to my military service and time in combat. We felt called to start SOF Missions to serve our fellow brothers and sisters in arms, focusing on suicide prevention and resiliency. Our mission at SOF Missions is to empower warriors to find purpose and be resilient. Since 2011, when we started the organization, almost 3 million men and women have deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan. Unfortunately, the scars of war take a toll on their psychological, physical, social, and spiritual health. Many veterans feel a sense of hopelessness and a loss of purpose when they return to civilian life. They feel isolated and alone, unable to reconnect. And in the greatest of tragedies, over 20 veterans lose all hope and take their own lives. Our goal at SOF Missions is to provide veterans the tools and resources so that they don't become a statistic. We offer a unique approach to combating veteran suicide through a whole health intradisciplinary model. The Be Resilient program is a 4-pillar methodology that addresses the areas of psychological, physical, social, and spiritual wellness. We provide care through 3 delivery methods: medical clinics, retreats, and educational training. Since we started back in 2011, we have been able to reach veterans in all 50 states and have served over 3,000 veterans through the Be Resilient program. Being resilient is a multifaceted and complex issue. We know that to find a lasting solution, we have to address the whole warrior. Many challenges cannot be solved by providing the treatments and modalities of just one component, but by tackling them all. Now, we've expanded our services to include law enforcement and first responders. Together, we can make a lasting impact in the lives of warriors across the nation. To learn more, visit our website at sofmissions.org.
For your post assignment. All units proceed to your post assignment.
All right. Welcome back.
MisFitNation. The MisFitNation show.
We are a show founded by a veteran and hosted by 2 veterans and a military spouse. Our mission is to get people to tell their stories to the world. If you're an author, share your tips with the Misfit Nation. If you're a musician or an actor, our audience need to know how they too can get into the business. Coaches, we love our coaches. Come on and share your tips with the Misfit Nation to help them become better versions of themselves. If you are a corporate leader or an entrepreneur, come on and show how you did it and how hard you have fought for success. If you are a veteran, first responder, or Gold Star family, we would love to have you come on and share your story with the Misfit Nation. We always have time for you. If you're feeling down, alone, or starting to see the darkness, stop. Think about those who are around you. You are not alone. You will be missed. If you feel like your problems will be a burden to those in your inner circle or feel embarrassed, dial 988. If you are a veteran, take option 1. We need you to keep pushing forward. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you are a new listener, welcome to the Misfit Nation.
Show.
Be sure to subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast app. Also on our YouTube channel at _MisFitNation. Subscribe and click the bell to keep you up to date on our latest episodes and all of our news. You can also find us on Heroes Media Group and About Face Radio. Now, let's get to the show!
All right. Welcome back to the Misfit Nation Show, our Sunday after dinner edition. I know you have plenty of other things you can do, but thank you for choosing to fly with the Misfit Nation tonight. Tonight we have a great guest, a warrior, a leader of soldiers. He's been through it all, and then he wrote about it. He went on a journey across country to link up with his brothers and write an amazing book, The Devil's Playground. If you have not read it yet, I suggest you do, and you'll even want to do it more after you listen to my guest tonight. Devil's Playground was anything south of the Second Canal to the men of Charlie Company's 2nd Platoon, to Charlie, during their 2009-2010 deployment to the Arghandab Valley in Afghanistan. This unit, 2 Fury, followed by the 2nd Brigade, 101st Airborne Division, did in 3 years, in a 2-year period, what Russia couldn't do in 10 years. Was take back that valley. So I can't put it into words better than the person that's going to come on, since he was there and he fought this. So without further ado, let's bring in U.S. Army veteran Andrew Bragg and author of The Devil's Playground. Welcome, Andrew.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Hope I didn't botch that up too much for you there, but I gave you some kudos. I don't usually talk highly of the 82nd Airborne being 100, but your book, I told you as I was reading it, as I was going through it, I told you I was really impressed with the writing and how it was going. But I want you to tell the audience more about you right now, from the reason why you joined the Army and then how we got here.
Okay. So I joined the Army right out of high school. I was just a patriotic kid. And after 9/11, it was set in stone, my decision to join the Army. So as soon as I graduated, signed up, and I was off to basic in less than 2 weeks from my graduation.
That's an awesome trip right out of graduation. Did anyone in your family serve?
Yeah, I actually had a bunch of not direct family members, but I had a great uncle who served in World War II. And then I have a lot of family lineage going basically through every conflict the country's been in. I didn't really know that going into the Army. I didn't learn that until speaking with my grandparents after I had joined. They had kind of shown me all the history.com stuff they came up with. And it was really cool to learn that I had become part of that history, at least with our family.
It's a long lineage too, since every conflict the United States had. That's a long lineage. And you were actually in Afghanistan twice within basically a 2-year period with 173rd Airborne out of Italy or Germany, and then back into the States, going from Fort Bragg into 508th. How was that transition, going from the solo brigade in Europe to a brigade within one of the most historic divisions in the Army?
Well, we had mentioned earlier, everybody goes to the mothership. So the 173rd is a little bit smaller of a unit than the 82nd. When you get orders to go PCS to Fort Bragg, everybody makes fun of you and tells you you're going to the mothership. But the thing that was most memorable to me was being back in America, because being part of the 173rd, we were stationed in Caserma Adderall. I can't remember that. I think that's the name of the camp, but it was in Vicenza, Italy. So it's not like, you can drive off post and go to Walmart. It's a great experience, but I missed my America amenities, and so coming back, PCS into Bragg, it was awesome. And then I got to be part of the 82nd Airborne, and go on this 2009-2010 deployment. I deployed with the 173rd in 2008 to 2007 to 2008. Was a 15-month deployment. We were in Paktika province, so that was like eastern Afghanistan in the mountains, and we got into a lot of shit during that deployment. Heavy, like mountaintop to mountaintop conflict. It was completely different than the types of fighting we had in the Arghandab River Valley, but it was still pretty heavy. There's a documentary about the 173rd called Restrepo. That was during our time. That was 2nd Battalion's, 2nd of the 503rd. I think it was their Bravo company. But I was in 1st Battalion, so we were just south of the Korengal Valley in Paktika province. In Burmel was where we were located, and we were seeing the same stuff though. We were building our outposts out in the mountains and giving the enemy something to shoot at as they come over the Pakistan border.
Yeah, nothing like being the target there for them and having find out which one of them is shooting at you from which angle of the mountain, and it's always a fun time. But then you transition down into Kandahar and the Arghandab River Valley ARV there. And how was your welcome there? I know in the book you lay this out. It's amazing how you lay this out in the book, how you did your right seat, left seat ride at Cop Tynes. But you're also, I forget the name of the base you guys were at first before you went there. So let's start in there and start going through the making of the book and how we got there.
Gotcha. So with the 82nd, initially we were scheduled to deploy to Iraq, but then we had a change of mission and we got scheduled to go to Afghanistan. And when we got there, we didn't really have an area of operation of our own. So our battalion was just kind of scattered all throughout RC South. So our platoon, 2 Charlie, 2nd Platoon of Charlie Company, we were assigned to a Canadian group out of Kop Masamgar. And we were just kind of just the Canadians' bitches. Whenever they needed us, we would go do patrols for them, and got into a lot of firefights there. It was kind of the winter months, so it wasn't as heavy, but we did get into some fights in the Panjwai district. But those were all kind of one-sided. We didn't really take any casualties, and we had the Kiowa air support that we needed to take them out, or at least push them away, send them running. And it wasn't until November 22nd where we hit our first catastrophic IED on a mounted convoy, going back from a route clearance operation with the Canadians, that we took our first 2 KIA. And that really was kind of just a kick in the gut. It brought the realization that we're not invincible. This fight isn't one-sided, and these guys can hit back too. And that's kind of, to go to the book, that's how I start my book out, is with November 22nd. But yeah, shortly after that, our battalion does get our own AO in the Arghandab River Valley, and we transfer all our troops in. 2nd Platoon, we inherited a cop from the Stryker Brigade that was there before us, and it was basically just an abandoned Kalat. There's an abandoned school inside, which was provided some structure for us, but it was just mud walls. There was nothing really there. The guys before us, I don't know if they had just recently established it. I know they took a lot of casualties out of Burr and the villages to the south, but I don't know if they didn't have the time or the means to kind of fortify that outpost. But when we inherited it, we had to make some drastic improvements before the fighting season arrived.
I know in the book you guys did some of that Army reappropriation in order to help build the cop up there, so you guys can have a livable space and a defendable place.
Oh yeah, there was a bunch of acquiring materials that took place, and E4 mafia shenanigans and stuff like that.
It's always good to have them in there. The sham shield comes in handy at great times. Sometimes it gets you in trouble. Sometimes it floats to the top, and you guys are good. You guys had you had the kitchen made and all that, and plus you were able to build overwatch positions so you can see further down into the valley too. So that's a very good thing you guys were doing to build and sustain and maybe be defensible.
Yeah, the objective of the valley was kind of saturation. that was kind of how you had to take ground was, or how you had to fight in the valley was basically just saturate it with troops. And our battalion, we didn't really have the numbers that we needed to do that. So we'd go out on patrols and try to take ground, but we'd have to come back to our outpost. So, we take ground and then we'd leave it, and we take ground and we leave it. But yeah, that's basically what our main objective was just saturate the area. There's constant foot patrols going on, just trying to catch any fighters that might be maneuvering, just catch them on the move. And yeah.
You seem to be a point guy. A lot of the patrols you are either point or very close to that point of the tip of the spear, I should say, and on almost every patrol. How did that's a great big responsibility, but how did you feel doing that when you first got the opportunity to do it and then constantly doing it?
Yeah, so I was a team leader for my squad, and I was alpha team leader. So usually alpha takes point. Some guys rotate, but I chose to just stay on point. I spent a lot of time and energy just memorizing the maps of the Arghandab, like looking at all the satellite imagery we had, and I knew that place like the back of my hand. One of my old squad leaders, he would laugh and say he could give me a grid and I wouldn't even have to look at a map. I could just go and get us there. But yeah, so I'd rather, how they say lead from the front, and I tried to do that. I didn't want any of my guys being the ones to step on any of the IEDs out there. If I could, I'd rather it be me. But yeah, that was kind of one of my motivations is it might as well be me, in the front. Cause I know my Bravo team leader, Mayor, he was a solid guy, and he would definitely, I could just count on him to take care of the guys if anything did happen to me or, my team. So.
And you said you had a pretty solid team with you based on the interviews that you put into the book and how it was the way the book is laid out. I'll let you explain how you did it and the interview process and putting it all together. It's amazing how you put it together. You almost feel like you're in the book when you're reading it, or if you're listening to it, the same thing. You feel like you're actually there, and you can. I know for me, having served in Kandahar, I can almost smell the stuff there when you were talking about it. So if you want to go through the process of what you had to do to get this all together, to get this book together and bring it out to the world.
Yeah. So after that deployment, I ETS'd out of the Army, along with a lot of other of our team leaders. We were all pretty much stop lost for that deployment. Some guys PCS different units. The Army has a way of just spreading out its knowledge, right? So 2 Charlie had quite a bit of knowledge and experience, and they wanted to spread that out throughout the battalion and throughout other units. So guys, when we got back, they either ETS, PCS'd, or got moved to different companies. Very few of the 2 Charlie guys actually stayed in 2 Charlie. But myself, I ETS'd and spent a lot of time just trying to run away from the idea of the valley. And it always was a part of me, no matter how much I tried to ignore it and stuff. But 12 years went by, and there's a book that came out. It's called Bravo Company, and it was written by Ben Kessling. And that book, like you said, it brought back all the sights, the smells, the sounds, just everything. And it was about, obviously, Bravo Company during our deployment in 2009 and 2010. But it just kind of lit a flame under my ass to be like, man, like, we got to tell our story. So I got as many of the guys who I was Facebook stalking on Facebook as I could. And I sent out like kind of a group message, and I was like, hey guys, like, cat's out of the bag. What do you think about me going around and telling our story? But I didn't want to tell it from like a first person, have a first person narrative, because I didn't think that just telling my part of the story would do it justice. In order to do that right, I had to tell our story, not just mine. So my plan is if everybody was on board, I was going to go around and reunite with the guys of 2 Charlie and interview them, record our interviews, and really just try to get the band back together. I know I'd been struggling the last 12 years and suffering in silence. And I think that a lot of the other guys were too. And it turns out like kind of the thing that we were missing was really each other. So in the process of writing the book, we really, myself and Dale Nollinger, another 2 Charlie team leader, we really brought in the guys at 2 Charlie back together, and just got the band back together. So after that group message on Facebook, everybody gave me the thumbs up, which I was surprised about because there had been pushback in the past. We've been approached by journalists and stuff about telling our story. There was an article in the Atlanta magazine about it was called The Last Patrol. Is actually what I titled my last chapter of my book was, well, not the last chapter, it's the second to last chapter, but so there's an article about that. There's an article in the Reader's Digest about Santos and his wife and son. There's a lot of stuff out there about us, surprisingly. No one really wanted to tell the whole story of what happened to us. But I think it was because it was one of us that wanted to do it and not just some random journalist. The guys were more willing and on board, and it became like our project, not just mine. So I took to the road and started mapping out where everybody was. And my route around the country was very similar to my routes in Afghanistan. I'd zigzag all over the place. I traveled the country from January to April and reunited with 35 guys from 2 Charlie. Had Dale helping me track down where guys were, get their numbers, get set up like meetups. And it was one of the most powerful times of my life because I got to see the guys who I'd probably thought about every single day for the last 12 years. I got to see where they were at with their lives. I got to see their kids, their wives, what they're doing for a job and where they're living. And it was very motivating to me that these guys who I could consider the greatest men I will ever know, they're killing it out there. So, traveled the country, interviewed all the guys. One of the guys has a podcast, so he let me borrow his podcasting recording equipment. So I look legit. I just showed up. It's not like I showed up and just threw a phone on the kitchen table and pressed record. No, I had like microphones and all these shiny colored button things. It was cool. I look like Joe Rogan, but with hair. And went around and kind of felt out where guys were in their lives, and if they were comfortable with it, interviewed them. And even some of the guys, they didn't want to be interviewed, but I still wanted to link up with them, see where they were, how they were doing. And that whole process ended in April when we were all invited for kind of like a reunion / we crashed Santos's son's wedding. And we all showed up for that. And it was kind of the first. It wasn't the first. There was other smaller reunions before that one, but that was one of the major ones that we had since leaving the Valley. And I think 18 guys were able to show up to that. And it was amazing. And just to see the smiles on guys' faces, again, it was just powerful. And so after that, the honeymoon was over, and I had to get to writing the book.
Right.
So I was on a mission, and when I set out to do something, I get it done. And I've never written a book before in my life. I went to school for engineering, not writing.
Wow.
So I buckled down, and I went to the library every day for probably about 6 months. And I joined the other homeless people, and just on my computer, just sat and listened to all the interviews, took notes, and just tried to put it all together. And I probably got through the first 12 chapters when I was just like, man, like I started losing motivation. I was like, I don't even know if this is good. This could be absolute dog shit, and I would not know. So I started reaching out to people to see what they thought. And man, it's like pulling teeth to try to get people to read a book. But so I started reaching out to the guys again, and we'd been in constant communication throughout this whole process. We had Zoom calls and stuff, and we still do have our Zoom calls. But yeah, the guys are more than willing to help out, and the guys who had the time, I'd send them the chapters and they'd read through it, and they gave me feedback. And I mean, their feedback's a little biased because, it's about us and them. So, but they were like, dude, this is awesome. Keep going. So I was like, all right. And there was also like a writing group at the library that I would go to every Tuesday, just to get some advice. Cause like I said, I hadn't gone to school for writing. I didn't, how do you do foreshadowing? How do you do, how do you develop characters? How do you do all these things? And they were able to help me with that. But I just put my head to the ground and just walked for 6 months and grinded it out. And at the end, I got the Devil's Playground book. And the first thing I did was the remainder of the guys who hadn't read it, I shared it with them, the Google Doc. And yeah, got their opinion, got their thumbs up, and that's when I tried to pursue publication. So,
yeah, I think you did great. You put your head down just like you were a point man again.
Yeah,
and you ran into the walls, and instead of designing something engineer wise, you designed a great book. And there's a part in the book, you're on patrol. Again, you got the high walls next to you. And you looked over your shoulder and you seen it glistening, and you just stopped right there because you knew you were in death's way right there. Talk us through that moment when you almost, I guess, triggered it.
Yeah, the tripwire. Yeah. So we had seen in the valley a bunch of different types of IEDs. There's pressure plates, anti-pressure plates, and then the command wires. But we'd always joking around about tripwires. To us, it wasn't reality yet. We had heard from Bravo Company's AO that they had encountered some tripwire IEDs and stuff like that, which is horrifying. But we hadn't at that point. So it's just kind of a sick, like, dark humor joke, like, oh, watch out for tripwires. And that day, I happened to, I don't know how, but I had climbed over one of the grapefield walls, the mud walls, and landed in like a drainage ditch. And I looked on the mud path in front of me, and there was this kind of just this spot of dirt that didn't look like the rest. It didn't look as compact as the rest of the path. And I didn't quite know what I was looking at the time. But then I saw along the mud wall, it kind of looked like a puttied area of like mud along this mud wall. And I was like, okay, that doesn't look right. And then I see like the clouds parted and the sun shone, and it was like a spider web in the woods. You know how it kind of has that distinct shimmer you can see? That was like right over my shoulder, basically. Like if I moved my arm like that, I would have hit it. And I just look over to my left and I look at it, and it's still not clicking, which, I'm not the smartest guy in the world. So I'm looking at the wire, looking at the spot on the ground, looking at the putty on the wall, looking at the wire, and then I'm like, oh shit. And yeah, I realized that there was a tripwire IED less than 2 feet away from my face, and yell back to my guys, hey, get back over the wall. A little bit more urgent than that. Yes. But yeah, so they hop back over the wall. We call in the EOD guys. Third squad escorts them out to us, and they blow the tripwire IED in place. And I mean, that was one of many days where if there's like parallel universes out there, I'm dead in a couple of them. So
thank you, lucky stars, that one day, and it wasn't your time. So
yeah,
we wouldn't be sitting here right now doing this. So thankfully, your spidey senses went off and you were there.
Yeah.
Got a couple of your guys chiming in here. Corey Bassard, Ethan, don't you just think Bragg is a sexual tyrannosaur?
That's
and Ethan, back off, my man. I know you sick pimping games.
Oh, that's so those are some 2 Charlie and 3 Charlie guys.
and it doesn't end. You get out, you might have got out 15 years ago, but it doesn't end.
That's the crazy part about it is like after 12 years, I didn't even know if guys would remember who I was. We hadn't talked in 12 years. But like I said, we all had thought about the Valley probably every single day since then. And I had thought about those guys every single day since then. And when we did reunite with our reunion, or when I saw them, it was like a day it was like not a day had gone by. You know, it's like I saw them yesterday, and they were the same assholes they were back then. I'm talking about you, McDaniel.
Things do not change.
No, I love those guys, and yeah, like I said, they're probably, I hold them in the highest regards. They're probably the greatest men I will ever know. So to have them back in my life after that 12-year gap has been monumental to me.
My Tuesday host, Jay Collin, he's an EOD guy. I always call him Hurt Locker because that's the best movie in the world. You know this. And he just asked, did it take EOD 6 hours to get there?
Oh man, yes. It got to the point where we were basically just dicking around in a grape field. We were making fun of Second Squad. Second Squad went on a patrol with like face paint on, like they cameled up with face paint, which was horrible because it's like this oil face paint and it's 120 degrees. So the guys were just miserable. So we'd make fun of them. So when we were out on that patrol waiting for EOD, we started taking like leaves off the grapes and putting them in our helmet bands and like gillying up and be like, look, we're Second Squad. And so yeah, we had to wait quite a long time for EOD to get out to us that day.
It's about right. So they're probably putting their hair products in and getting ready to film their favorite movie, Hurt Locker, at that time.
Oh yeah. No, the EOD guys they're pretty cool. I mean, it's not up to them there were so many IDs in that valley. They were just running every which direction. So if we had to wait on them, there was a reason. It was because they were helping Bravo Company or helping somebody else in the valley. They were strung out pretty thin. So
yeah, they're probably actually thinner than you guys were. Like you said, you guys are trying to saturate a valley with one battalion, and there are probably one platoon or less, or two teams of EOD guys out there to support that entire valley. So,
yeah,
we poke fun at them, but we still got to give them help. Just same as your guys giving you help.
Yeah, they it's crazy because after one of the EOD guys that was there the day of my tripwire, he reached out to me after he read the book and he gave me this folder with like basically all their photos, and in it there was the day of my tripwire. So I have pictures of my tripwire that I keep in my phone because that's one of those days. You count your lucky stars, like you said.
Yeah, Jorge Jerome said he feels like Bragg's still telling us to climb 10-foot walls.
Yeah, so the guys always make fun of my routes. I took the path of most resistance because I figured that's where the IEDs would not be. So I was notorious for climbing over every wall in the valley, not just taking gates and choke points. And my guys gave me shit for it, but
McDaniel chimed in and said he's been nothing but a gentleman to everyone. I'm sure there's a lot less than that going on, but I know when reading the book, there was correlation between the date 22, like 22 November was your first one. I think the second one was in 22 March, I believe was the second one.
Yeah, so our first two KIA were 22 November 2009, and then 22 March of 2010 was our next KIA. So the number 22 is it's not good juju for us in 2 Charlie. We're kind of superstitious about it. Like we don't even make dental appointments on the 22nd of the month.
It kind of sucks that's the number that everyone throws around with our brothers and sisters losing their battle is 22 as well.
Yeah, that's just, it adds to the superstition, right? And even there's like one guy asked me if I've ever read the book Catch 22, and I'm like, no, I never heard of it. So I was like, man, 22 just shows up everywhere.
Yeah. So as you went through and you suffered loss, of course, I want you to say their names because those are your guys. But the first one was Platoon Sergeant, right? It was the first one you guys lost.
So the first two guys were Tynes and Nolan. So we had Sergeant Nolan and PFC Tynes, and those guys were in Panjwai district. They weren't in the Arghandab. And then as we moved into the Arghandab, our first KIA in the Arghandab was Santos, Sergeant First Class Santos, who was AKA Dad. He was our platoon sergeant, and he was the mortar to the bricks, if you will. He kept us knuckleheads in line and held us together, and really showed us what it meant to be a leader in a way. He was just a stellar NCO, and you could just really tell he cared a lot about us, and he became Dad. We even jokingly called him Dad. And so when we lost him, I had spoken earlier about how when Tynes and Nolan died, that was, the realization that we're not invincible. When we lost our platoon sergeant, that was the realization that it could happen to anybody. If it happened to Dad, your rank didn't keep you safe. Your position in the platoon didn't keep you safe. Anybody was fair game. So he was such a just cornerstone to our platoon that when we lost him, we weren't lost for long, because we did have good leaders that were remaining. Like, we had a lot of good team leaders, like Sergeant Brown, Sergeant Nullinger, Flannery, Sergeant Flannery, Sergeant McPherson, Sergeant Mayer, and we had good squad leaders too. So we were able to kind of step up our game, and I don't want to say fill that role, because you can never fill that man's shoes, but we took what he instilled into us, and I think that's kind of one of the things that got us through that valley. Is that, like, the guys that we lost, everything we learned from them got the rest of us through.
Right. You had Lovelace, I believe it was shot in the face.
Yeah, Lovelace got shot in the face. We name of the chapter in the book's just called "The Day Lovelace Got Shot in the Face," because that's what we refer to it as. I don't know. There wasn't a name of like the operation or anything. No, it's just the day Lovelace got shot in the face. And he was actually one of the guys who I was unable to track down. I believe last we heard was he went on some sort of mission, like a religious mission. So I don't know if he's out there. I'd love to hear from him, but
at least he was still with us and able to do a mission like that. So that's good.
Yeah,
I remember.
Yeah,
and the title of the chapter when you said it kicked back to me. So.
Yeah, we nicknamed him Heavy Face because he had a big head and it was always canted to one side. So when we found out that he was going to be okay, we kind of jokingly, that dark humor, and we're like, oh, maybe the round, knocked him, straight. So it didn't.
It didn't help.
No.
You guys kept patrolling even after you lost Sergeant Santos that day. You guys went on numerous. You patrolled every day. You guys were out there every day, and then even going into the handover with a 320th later in your deployment, you guys were still on edge and trying to get them to understand the dangers of the valley and that the valley always wins. And how long did it take for you guys to understand that the valley always wins? And then what did it feel like when you were trying to tell them and it just wasn't sinking in?
It's kind of frustrating. Because you just spent, for us, it was 10 months prior to, in that valley fighting. And the guys replacing, this is cyclic because I feel like it's like this with every rip, but the guys coming in feel like they know what they're going to do and they know, what we did wrong and they know it better. Right. Where you're trying to tell them, hey, this is what we've been dealing with so that they could learn from your mistakes and stuff like that. And it just didn't seem like they were taking it as serious as we wanted them to. We might've been assholes about it. But it was a very serious situation. We had lost our platoon alone had taken 6 KIA and 14 wounded. So, this wasn't just a JRTC, let's go out and, it wasn't the one-sided fight that we had experienced in, Masamgar. It was it always felt like we were losing. And like you said, we had taken so many casualties, and we hadn't gotten any reinforcements. So our platoon was basically down to a squad and a half at one point, to which, you have to have guys go out on patrol. You have to have guys be part of a quick reaction force to react to the guys on patrol if they get hit by an IED or ambushed or both. And you have to have guys stay in the towers out, back at Tynes. So there was a period of time where you were either going out on patrol to get shot at, you were on QRF to go respond to the guys getting shot at, or you're sitting in the tower. And we'd leave skeleton crews back at Tynes. We just didn't have the manpower. And like, we didn't have full squads. So guys would fill in for other guys in different squads. We first and third squad kind of combined and became a 31st squad at one point. And because we both didn't have enough guys to make a full squad. So there's team leaders humping saws. There was Joes carrying radios, on and off. And just everybody had the same mentality of, what, like, if my buddy's going out, I am too. So you wanted to be part of the chaos and not sit on the sidelines and listen to it over the radio. If something bad was going to happen, you wanted to be there to do whatever you could to get your buddy out. And we did that for probably April till our relief came at the end of June, early July. And when they got here, I mean, we were a little exhausted, having gotten in firefights every single day, close ambushes. And so when they showed up and they weren't as prepared as we would have liked, we were a little frustrated about that. But, kind of looking at it from their perspective, there was probably an equivalent of the way we looked at the guys that we relieved, the striker guys in the book. It's all true. Like, there was a guy who made basically cut off capris out of his ACU bottoms. And, it's like they look pretty rough, but I'm sure at, in the eyes of the guys who relieved us, we looked pretty rough. But that's what that valley did to you, is it brought you to your very, like, kind of just, it pushed you to your limit, and until you either broke and it won, or you lost a little bit of yourself. So
I always tell people we all left a little bit of ourselves over there. You probably left a little bit of yourself in Paktika as well as in the valley, because both places were kinetic. Both places were in something that a regular person wouldn't understand. Even watching a movie, you can really get them to absorb what you went through, because they're not there. The adrenaline of being in a movie theater isn't the same as the adrenaline as having someone try to kill you just for who you are. And we all left a little bit of ourselves, a little bit of our souls over there. But you get that kind of back when you're able to have these reunions and able to see the brothers that are all still here, the ones that are here, be able to just come back and just slap ass with each other and talk crap to each other, like you said earlier, like you never left each other. And for you, I believe that was a big plus for you, because you kind of went into a world where you were just not even identifying with the military for a while and just going to school, getting your degree, and then all this came about.
Yeah. Like I said, I kind of just ran from anything that, like, would bring me back to that. But also to counter that, like every decision I made was kind of had something to do with my time in service or like the Valley. So when I first got out, I became an EMT. Why? Not because I liked helping people, but because I just thought I was good at dealing with amputation wounds and gunshot wounds and stuff like that. Like the trauma from Afghanistan, it's like, oh, I can do that. Why not continue to do that in the civilian sector? So that didn't play out. I was an EMT for 6 years, but when I realized that probably 80% of the 911 calls you respond to aren't trauma related, I was like, all right, I got to find a different path forward here. So I became a college math tutor, because I found out I was good at math when I was going to the community college I was going to. And I tutored math, and all the friends I had made at the community college were transferring over to the university to go to school for engineering. And I was like, oh, okay, that sounds hard. Let's do that. And the color of my truck is, quicksand tan because it reminds me of the Humvees. It's just stupid stuff like that. Like I see a pomegranate tree and I'm like, it just brings me back to the valley. And it's stuff like that like I was trying to avoid, but it was so much a part of me that there just became a time, and it's when that Bravo Company book came out, that it was like, you know what, like I'm tired of running from this and trying to face it on my own. And it's like, I want to see how the other guys are doing. It's almost like I use the book as a guise to just see the guys. That was the main thing, is I wanted to see how everybody was doing from to Charlie. And it seems like everybody was facing the valley in their own ways. But when we all got back together, I cannot voice how powerful that had been to a lot of the guys who had been struggling in silence or trying to figure it out on their own. And it might be the blind leading the blind, but hey, at least we're going somewhere.
At least one of you will have a stick to point it out.
Yeah, someone's got a walking stick. We're following the clicking noises to let us know that it's okay to cross the road.
Hopefully it's not the jokes or just throwing a stick out in the road for you. And the story, like I've said this multiple times during the show, that the book is amazing. The way you put it together with using all the interviews you did, it makes the reader feel like they're there and can understand a lot more what you guys went through in the valley. But what they don't understand is that within the year you guys were there, plus the year that 320th was there, that's 24 months, an accomplishment that Russia couldn't do in 10 years. That valley was taken over, and it was the same fighters, the same families that were fighting there their whole lives, their generations. American soldiers were able to go in there, put their heads down, and dig deep and fight and win that valley. So kudos to you guys, to Charlie, for starting that battle, and 320th for pushing after you guys and taking some punches too and coming out.
Yeah, it was crazy. If there's a book out there called Over the Mountain, and it's written from like the Mujahideen, as I used to say that. I always mispronounce that. But it was written from them and their perspective, and to hear them fighting in the same villages that we were, they were talking about the village of Jelawar and how they would wait for the Russians to get so close that they wouldn't miss their first shot. And they would completely mine all the fields. And then they would medevac their wounded to the village of Babur, which was another village in RAO that we fought a lot in. So to hear the Russians struggling in the same area that we were is kind of crazy. History doesn't repeat itself, but it does rhyme.
Yes.
I would like to, we did what we could with the numbers that we had, but you can read the Sons of the Arghandab to figure out, or to find out what happened after we had left the valley. And those guys were able to establish outposts in those villages like Babur and closer to Kalacha and stuff like that we were not able to, just because, like I said, we were running a squad or 2.5 squads of guys in one of the biggest AOs in our battalion. So, but
both the books, I think it's Bear Goes Over the Mountain and Mountain something. One's written from Russian perspective, one's written from Mujahideen perspective.
Yeah,
we had to read both of them before we went back to Kunar to advise, since we're closer to the mountain. And every book I read on Afghanistan just told me it's a burial ground, and we're going to fight. We're going to leave, just like all the other tribes before us. Did you ever feel that tribal mentality as you guys were battling with your brothers, and then now we got to go, and this is just all going to go right back to him, and then seeing it happen a couple of years ago?
Well, so one of the guys in our platoon was there during the withdrawal of Afghanistan, and he actually got to watch like the live ISR feed of the Arghandab being taken back. So like the AMP outposts just being overrun and stuff like that. So that was kind of shitty, but in the back of our heads, it was like, you kind of always kind of knew that it was going to end up like that. But that doesn't belittle what we did there. At least I don't think so. I know a lot of guys have a different opinion on things like that, but I know I was there for the guy beside me. I didn't care about the geopolitics going on. I was there for the guys at 2 Charlie, and yeah, I know they were there for me. So, but yeah.
Where I stand too, people said, "Are you angry?" So we all kind of seen it coming. We knew it was going to happen. Even when we trained them, we knew what was going to happen.
The way I look at it is like, you have a kid, right? You have your son, and he wants to play t-ball. So you get him all the best t-ball equipment. You get him private lessons. You invest all this time and energy into it, and then the first game he shows up, he doesn't even want to step up to bat. He just quits. It's like, no, you get out there and you swing away. I don't care if you strike out, you freaking swing. But yeah, that's how I kind of see it. So yeah, I get guys' frustrations and stuff like that, but
I think a lot of the people that are most frustrated were the Gold Stars and thinking that.
Yeah, I understand that,
because for no reason, basically. But if you were there, you understood. Like you said, we don't deal with the things at 1600 or above up there in DC. That's not our problem. That's not our deal. Our deal is right here and here, and bringing everyone around me home. That was my goal. Kunar and Kandahar, I lost my only soldier in combat in 4 deployments. So my soul was there and his soul was there, but the show is here because of him. So we got to keep driving forward.
Yep. And that's kind of what we're trying to do with the guys at 2 Charlie, but we're trying to expand and get all of Charlie Company and just help get guys' stories out there. William Yeski helped me get our story out there. He introduced me to the publisher, because I don't know if you've ever tried to get something published. It's a pain.
Yes.
I was reaching out to publisher, and then contacting literary agents to try to represent me. And it was not working. So finally, Yeski introduced me to Casemate and kind of held the door open for me. And I really appreciate that. And I kind of tried to do the same for Fontenot, and it's about getting stories out there and getting guys back together. And I mean, you don't have to write a book to reunite with your guys, but hopefully we can set the example here with these, what we were doing, and guys will kind of see the benefits of what we've experienced, and they'll want that same thing. So they'll kind of follow suit and reach out to their guys. Because that's really what it takes, is guys reaching out to guys. Dale Nollinger, he says, if you're thinking about them, text them. And I took that to heart, because there's been times where, like I mean, every single day I'll think about one of the 2 Charlie guys. And over those 12 years, it's like, I just never reached out, and I don't know why we do that, but that's a common thing amongst all veterans, is we just don't reach out. I don't know if we just don't want to bother our buddies, or maybe we're still running, but I just encourage you, if you're thinking about a buddy, just send him a text. If he's busy, he won't reply, or he'll wait until he's not busy. But you'd be surprised at how powerful just reaching out could be for a guy that isn't stuck in a hole, or needs just some help.
Definitely. And you hit the nail on the head there. If you're thinking about them, reach out to them. And even if they don't answer right away, or they don't answer at all, they get that text, it's probably making their day, or their week, or their year even. That, hey, Bragg texted me. He still thinks about me. This dude's awesome. That's it. And you did something right that day.
Yeah.
One win each day. That's all we need. And they start stacking them up, so everyone's with us tomorrow. And Andrew, this is great chatting with you about the book, about your career, about the drive to write this book as the point man you are. Where do we go from here?
Well, like I said, the guys at 2 Charlie are, we're all continuing our reunions now. We're trying to do annual reunions. We did the one reunion after I did the traveling of the country at Santos's son's wedding. That was kind of our first major one. Then after I had written the book and got it published, I threw kind of a book release party in Colorado. My friends who were really supportive of me, they wanted to do something nice for me, so they threw it for me. I just reached out to everybody to see if they would come, and everybody did. So me writing this book was kind of me showing up for the guys at 2 Charlie, and them coming to Colorado and showing up for me. That was awesome. I really appreciate those guys doing that for me, and just celebrating just our story, and those guys being proud of what we did, and just proud of this book. It meant a lot for me. We had, I think it was 30 guys at Colorado. And some guys brought their spouses, some guys brought their kids. Like it was awesome. So we had a reunion in Colorado. We had a little get together back at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. So we found our way back to the mothership once more. There was the Airborne and Special Operations Museum was doing a book release thing for us. So we had I think 9 guys show up to that. But the coolest part about that was we went on Fort Bragg, and Dale Nollinger is still in kind of contact with the battalion commander of the 2nd 508. So he got us on post, and the guys were in ITC, so they are out area J. So we got our asses up at 5 o'clock in the morning, got into one of those white vans, and drove out to area J. And you got these old men walking around area J looking for 2 Charlie, the current day 2 Charlie guys who were in a patrol base, and all getting out of their fart sacks, and they had just woken up, and there's these old guys in their patrol base. So they're like, what yeah, like what is going on? And it was just really cool to see the modern day guys that, I got to meet 2-1 Alpha. Like that was me. I got to talk with him. We got to talk to the company commander of Charlie Company. We got to talk to the platoon leader, platoon sergeants, and just seeing those guys, it was cool, and just hanging out with them. It's just the same shit, but a different uniform. They're still doing the same stuff we were doing. They just got a cooler multi-cam pattern, and they have some pretty sweet nods. We were able to play around with those. Those are cool. But yeah, so and other guys have reached out to me since the book had come out. So there was a guy who used to be the PL for Charlie Company 2nd Platoon, and they hadn't really known about what we had done in the Arghandab River Valley. They knew about that deployment because obviously we took a lot of casualties as a battalion, but they didn't really know the exact story. So after reading the book, I've had one of those guys reach out to me and be like, man, I'm so proud to be part of this unit and this history. And man, I can't tell you, like, it makes me tear up every time I hear that, because it's like, now I'm the old guy that's wearing the hat that it has all my chest melt, and it's like I don't do that, but I feel like that, but it makes me proud to know that these younger guys are proud of us and what we did. And when you walk into the company CP and your photos are on the wall, it's not just B-roll. Like when we had that, I thought it was just, it's some random B-roll stock footage. No, it was, oh yeah, that was along the 2nd Canal. That's Sergeant Rosa. Like that's the R240 team, So yeah, so that was pretty cool to see that. Yeah, but we're in the works for our next reunion. There's obviously some organizations out there that could help with that. We've been doing everything out of our own pockets and our own dime. But we're starting to try to reach out to not just 2 Charlie guys, but try to get all of Charlie Company and do like a Charlie Company reunion, see if we can get some traction on that. And it's really just been about getting the guys back together for me, seeing the guys' faces. And yeah, I wrote a book, but yeah, that's that's to me. It's just about continuing. I mean, now we have the momentum, right? We're moving, so we got to keep moving and just keep being there for the rest of the guys to Charlie.
Outstanding. It's been great chatting with you, about the book, about To Charlie. Before I let you go, I need to let the Misfit Nation know how they can get in contact with you if they want you on their show or if they just want to chat with you.
Yeah, I mean, the Facebook page, The Devil's Playground book. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Facebook, Andrew Bragg. I'm on Instagram at The Devil's Playground book. Yeah, that's the two main places you can get a hold of me is Facebook and Instagram.
Awesome. And before I let all my guests go, asking this last question, what's 3 things the Misfit Nation can start doing tomorrow to be better humans?
To be better humans?
Yes.
Well, like I said, if you're thinking about, or what Dale Nullinger basically said is, if you're thinking about them, call them or text them. That right there, I think, could make us all be better humans. Is if you're thinking about a friend or a loved one, reach out to them.
And one of your brothers had jumped in here when I asked about how to find you, and this is going to make you laugh. I'll put it up there for you. You can find Bragg on Grindr.
That's pretty funny. I deleted that account.
Under a different name now.
Yeah.
Well, brother, it's been great chatting with you. If you ever want to come back on and tell me where you guys are now or in the future, you're more than welcome to come back on. This has been an awesome chat.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Have a great night.
Yep, you too.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation show. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. That's themisfitnation.com. Check out all our past episodes and get some of the great Misfit Nation gear for you and your family. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling because we are
Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation.